Alright, here it finally is, the explanation for the smallest 0.75 5x5. And yeah, as you can notice, this one's actually even smaller than the one I showed a while ago. Yeah, so like 2 weeks ago, so I managed to make a completely new top and we removed this upper layer. So now it's just 1170 blocks, which is like really insane. But yeah, let's just look at it again. So close like this and open like so. Yeah, the closing is also super fast, fastest possible with this layout, so 0.45 seconds. But yeah, it's also fully reliable, which is really nice. And of course we have the awesome opening animation with the synchronized sides on top and bottom. But yeah, I've prepared some things here to show you how it works, but yeah, without any further ado, let's just get started. Okay, so I will be building the door block by block here to explain what's going on along the way. But this video is really intended more as an explanation than a tutorial. Because while you can build along, I will be testing the door and showing off certain circuits. So yeah, you're going to have to like replace stuff a million times, so that's like pretty annoying. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to torture yourself like that. Anyways, let's go with the materials now. So this is what you will need. Now I have a couple of notes here. Yeah, so these can be any gravity block. And I named this rail, the power rail, and the anvil temporary, because you need them to set up the boats here, but once that's done you won't need those anymore. But yeah, technically they needed to build it, so I included them here. Now you're going to need 12 16 stackable items, and then 8 64 stackable items, and one different one to silence one of the droppers. And then you're going to need 131 shovels or any other unstackable item. These are needed to get certain signal strength in these barrels. So yeah, but apart from that, that's all. So yeah, the building area is going to be 60, 13 wide and 15 blocks tall. And now to place our door frame, we go to the 4th block here. And then go off 5 blocks, so yeah, floor level and 4 blocks below. And then just a 5x5 frame, of course. Yeah, now for the layout, the sides are standard. It's just the normal folded double layout. But as fast as possible. So yeah, double extenders, door blocks, and now we have 2 solid blocks, a non-solid block, and then a normal piston here, which is actually really important. Then 2 stickies and then another normal piston. And now on the back we just have our fold with 4 stickies, like this. Right, other side is basically the same, just this is a little bit different. So 4 doubles, your door blocks, 2 solid blocks, 2 non-solid blocks, and then 4 stickies here, and 4 stickies over here. Right, now on the bottom, double extender in the middle, and then the swapper storage here on the left. So this will retract, this goes up, and now I can push and pull this block. On the right, we just swap this around, so we pull down the block, push this in, but essentially it does the same. And now we need one more thing, which is the stone piston here. And this is going to push up these blocks here during the opening because the top pushes them down. And yeah, if it wouldn't push them up, then the sides couldn't grab this upper block here. Alright, now for the top layout, it's actually really cool. It was made Alugia, but I slightly changed the sequence during the opening. But yeah, we start with pistons like so. So yeah, 6 pistons. And then this one faces right, the rest faces down. On this right side here, 3 pistons like so. The left side 3 like this. Now on the top we will have 3 more pistons facing down, like so. And now on the back we have 2 folds like this. And then we need one more thing, which is the sticky piston, which is going to grab this piston. And we need this because later on we have the input line here, and we don't want this to push out the block instantly on the closing. So we just push it in later, and then we also use this for something else. But yeah, that's the layout. Now we need some sliders to power these pistons here to grab these blocks, because yeah, we can't place dust on top because there's pistons in the way. But yeah, in the front we are going to push down observers with sticky pistons, and we need stickies because we will be pulling them up again, because we can't really fit the blocky ventilator, we need it at the bottom. But yeah, so solid blocks, and then fill in your walls with whatever blocks you desire, just make them movable. On the right side we can just push it back up with normal pistons. On the left side we actually have an observer pointing inwards and then a sticky piston here. And we will use this to power this piston here through this retracted block to get this block over here and back. Alright, so that takes care of the upper 2 pistons. Then for the lower 2 we'll just push up observers. And this time we can just use normal pistons for those. Whoops, like this and like this. All right, now fill in your walls. And now on this left side we have one additional block, an observer, then our return piston up here. On this right side we have an extra block, a detector rail, an observer, and then our return piston on the uppermost layer. So yeah, this is what our setup looks like. And now let me just show you the sequence over there. So I recreated the entire door with a game for use capture and playback mod. So I can just flick this lever and let me just turn off chat real quick, so we don't get the annoying message in the bottom left every time. So yeah, I recreated this with a game for use capture and playback mod. So we get the entire door recreated just like in the wiring, but without the wiring, so we can look at it. So yeah, let's go over the sides first. They are pretty simple. On the closing, this just pushes in, push out, and then push out again. Now on the opening, it's just a standard sequence, but as fast as we can get it. So yeah, this retracts. We have our fold here, and now we instantly grab this. And now we just have a double extender retraction, like this. Alright, now bottom, in the closing, we'll push this up. Then the swappers do their thing, push in these blocks, and this just pushes up. So yeah, goes up, first block, second block, actually second and third, but whatever. Now for the openings, retracts, the top pushes down, so we'll end up with blocks like this. That doesn't actually matter. Alright, so top pushes down. And then we grab the first two blocks, we grab the third block, and also instant double get this one. And now we just retract everything and hide the swappers, like so. Alright, now for the top, in the closing, these two blocks will get pushed down, then this pushes in, and now these three blocks get pushed down, so we fill in the blocks like so. Yeah, these two go down, it pushes in, these get placed, this pushes in, and now we prepare some stuff for the opening. And what we're going to do in the opening is basically, this piston gets placed here instantly, and it will do a 3 game tick pulse. So this shaves one move from the triple. And now at 6 game ticks, we are going to push this over, and we can now, the piston here, it pulls this up, and this shaves another move from the triple. So yeah, this is basically the concept behind the top, and then we need a bunch of extra stuff to make it actually work. But yeah, let me just show you. So these push down, and this pushes over to place the piston, like so. Now we clear away these blocks here, so that this can go down, and we also clear these two blocks. Now we push this over, grab the block, and now everything just gets pulled back again, retracted, and then we just make it seamless again with some folds here, like this. And yeah, that's basically how the top works. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get to the actual wiring. So first up is the input line, which is just going to send power from bottom to the top, basically, nothing special. So yeah, input block goes right here in the bottom front, and then one block from the bottom. Dust on top. Now we have an instant repeater here with a target block. A node block here, 2 blocks up like this. And now we just start a slab staircase like so. Hopper here, which is needed for something else later. And now just slab block, and now we can place our dust. That's the left side done. Now for the right side, we want this 1 block lower, right here. So to power it, we are going to place dust here. Now we can reach the target block. Place the instant repeater. Now hopper here. Now we need a furnace, which we're going to place over here. Go down 1 block, and now we're going to go up. Then an observer here. A hopper up here. And now just continue the slabs. Now we go up like so. Go down again. Place a block here and go up again. So we have this zigzag shape. And now 1 more slab, 1 block here, 2 blocks, and then 1 more block like this. And now we can just place dust on top of everything we just placed, except this block, because that's already the 4th layer on the top. And yeah, that is the input line done. So now we can do the sides. So before we wire the sides, let me just go over the side setup because it's really cool. So yeah, this 3x side setup was developed by Timmerman originally for one of the older 0.75s. And the basic idea is to have the same dust line going both into the fold and the back pistons here. But yeah, due to the slab layout and thickness strength, it works out. So yeah, there are going to be 2 0 ticks in the same game tick going into this line. And the first one will only power these because, yeah, if you imagine this is thickness strength 1, then we have 0 here and these won't be affected. Then it will still be 2, this will be 1. Again 0, these 2 won't be affected. And now the rest just powers, obviously. So yeah, that will be the first 0 tick. And this first pulse goes into this here, which is a 0 tick repeater that's like inbuilt into the side itself. And this is going to power the entire line again. But these are now retracting, so I will just ignore it, and instead the back pistons will get affected. Right, so let's look at that. Closing pushes over. At 3 game ticks, this drops the block. These get pushed out, and now this will be pushed in by a different pulse. And that's the closing done. And the front pistons get powered through these blocks here, which get powered from the dust, which gets powered from this slider here. Now opening, we retract these, so these unpower. At 3 game ticks this power, and we get the first retraction here. At 6 it powers again. And then also at 6 we will power these with the side sliders to grab the blocks. At 9 again, just power the same line. And it's actually powers at 12 again, but this will just ignore it because these will always extend first here. Because yeah, they're being pulled into this here. Updated at game tick 11 to extend to 12. But anyways, at 12 all we need to do is just update this and these will retract. Alright, so that's the general idea of the left side. Now originally you would power this from the right side and use the clock. So the right side would be like just some slab layout to power the piston with a clock with 2 outputs. But yeah, I had the random idea to just use this on both sides and get all the pulses I need without the clock. And yeah, that's how the right side was created, by the way. But yeah, anyways, I will show you how that is done over there. Right, anyways, now let's just place the bolts first, because later on there will be stuff which we would have to break to place them, so let's just do it now. There are 2 sticky pistons facing down, diagonally from this back piston here. 2 sticky pistons here. Now we need an anvil on this piston facing parallel to the input line, I guess. Now 2 blocks like this. I like to use glass here because then you see the rail from below and you know that you shouldn't break it, but use whatever you want. Then 2 rails like so, block here. Now we place our bolt like this, a minecart here, and we just power this. So now it drives up against this, break this, we come below, now we can just push up this block, remove the piston, remove this upper rail and the anvil, and that's the first bolt done. Now another one is needed over here. And this one actually uses a different setup. So we will use a slab which we are going to need to push in due to the bolt hitbox right here. Again, I like to use glass here. Update our piston here. And now we need a grindstone which is going to hold the minecart in place, which we're going to place like this. So next to the sticky piston and then facing down with the flat side towards the rail. The slab. And now we need 2 normal rails like this. And we can place our boat down here. Grab a minecart, place it and push it down. Now if this doesn't pick up the boat the first try, which can happen, you just try again. So let me just try to make it fail. Yeah, now I just didn't pick it up, but just try again, eventually it will work. Now break this rail, and this one is also set up. Now the final one will go in over here. So yeah, diagonally down from this here. And now we need to place a hopper over here, because later on you won't be able to place it, and since you can't push it, we have to place it now. Right, now anvil here. And now we need an observer and a slab. Slab goes here, observer pointing to the back of the door. And then just a block. Let me grab the powered rail. 2 here. Come in. Place the boat, place the cart, get out. Power this. Unpower it. Push up the observer. Break the rail. Let me just replace this. And yeah, that's the bolt setup. And now we can actually wire the sides. So let's start with the right side here. Because yeah, we get all the pulses here. And the left side just gets them from the right side, and that does like almost everything. So yeah, let's start with the closing. So first off, we need to just power these pistons to push over the blocks by placing this, and now all of them are getting powered here from the input. Now next up are 3 game ticks. These need to spit out the blocks. So let's get the dust line here, because without that, yeah, it would be a bit hard to power the pistons. Now we need to slab mesh to this one, but because of the both hitboxes we can't place it. So I'm just going to push it in like this. And then same story goes for this block. Just push it in. Right, now slab here. Slab up here. Observer. By the way, we can't have the slab here and dust line like this, because this dust could update the piston over here. And during the opening, this will be getting QC'd here at 6 game ticks. And if it updates before this, then it will push out the observer and the door breaks. So yeah, the dust line has to be quite low over here for it to be reliable. Now we go into a slab staircase like this. Block here. Now this block needs to be transparent, because there will be a piston here later which will be kicking QC'd, and yeah, we don't want that. Now get your signal strength barrels, so make sure they're completely filled. Not block here so that this does not connect, and now we can just place our dust line like so. Alright, now for the actual pulse, we will be powering a block and then push it away. So grab a piston and 2 gravity blocks, going like this, piston here. This just updates this observer, that powers the line at 2 game ticks, and then we cut the pulse at 3. Now there's a reasoning for that, which I'll explain soon. So yeah, just connect this to the input line by directing the dust into the piston here. Now to update this, we just place that. And this does it on both opening and closing. Alright, so I talked so much about the signal strength back there, but we just have like way too much here. So how does it work? Well, we have this situation basically. So we have our double and the fold. And then during the opening, this will just retract, right? At 2 game ticks we power both of these already, which means this can't extend at 3. Because this finishes retraction before this is placed, so it's like immovable still, so this can't power. And the pulse turns off and this just grabs the piston. And then that pulse goes into this here and gets the second pulse at 3. So yeah, this way we get away with not having the perfect signal strength on the 3 game tick pulse, because we powered at 2 game ticks already. And by the way, we only really need it at 6 game ticks now, because for the other ones it really doesn't matter. But we ended up using the signal strength for the rest of the pulses. But yeah, technically you only need it for the 6 game tick pulse now. Anyways, let's finish the closing. So hopper, observer, hopper, observer. And now we just place a target block here to connect it up to the dust line. This will power from 4 to 6, which is perfect for the closing. And in the opening, since these and these do a 0 tick at 3 game ticks, they will just ignore this completely, so it works out. Right now we just need the slider input, so slash with dust, 2 blocks. Now repeaters here, which we are going to power, and then we lock them. And the repeaters are the reason that we need the full barrels, because this will be signal strength 15. So if this was less, it would just turn off, this would turn off and then the door breaks. What's also nice about this is that the comparator realizes dust, so the back pistons don't get powered. Anyways, in front of this upper repeater here, with a non-solid block, and solid blocks above and below, and then an observer here. Right now to push this slider down, we're going to use a sticky piston. And the reason is basically we retract this with some beds so that piston here and the opening can update. But yeah, I will explain it when we get there. Anyways, now for the return we just have this piston. That should be the closing done, I think. Let's see. Yeah, just like that. And we shall see the pistons get pulled to the side here 3. Like so. Now the back pistons got the pulse from here, so it was slow. But yeah, we're going to speed it up now. Right, so as you can see, this is the extended, which is an issue because now this can't power at 6 because yeah, it's blocked. So all we need to do is just update the slider to go up, because right now the top blocks it. But we can just place a block with dust and then an observer here that does it for us. Right. Now we just connect this here and we get the 3 game tick second pulse. So yeah, this is just the side setup on the left, but inbuilt here. Now dust here. Now it's not updated pistons, so this one's going to update that piston, gets QC'd here. And now 2 more updaters for this one. Now this gets power from here, so we need an updater piston as well, which we are going to place like this. Alright, now one more thing, we don't want it to go in the closing, so just a slab of dust, and that makes this push up and this is getting blocked. Alright, so that should be the closing and the 3 game tick pulses done. Alright, perfect. Now all we need is the rest of the pulses, so let's get those in. Now we're going to use this thing here, so a rarity block, solid block, and now we're getting the signal strength from this comparator here. And in this here we need 16 stackable items and 1 unstackable item. So basically that we get signal strength 9 here. Alright, now this is just a 0 tick repeater, downwards one, so we need some updates for the return piston, which are going to place like this and like this. So the reason we have 2 is because we have the QC here and the piston updater, so yeah, we need 2 pistons here. Now we have an issue though, because this here will power at 2 game ticks from here, this updates it, and then this in turn will update that, and we lose the 3 game tick pulse, which is pretty bad. So yeah, we need to prevent this from updating the piston, and yeah, we have like, what, 5 blocks here, so we're going to use those. So yeah, this will just block it in the closing, so closing works now, but for the opening this would retract way too early, so we need to extend the time that it's on by having this dropper hopper with a 64 stackable item inside, so we get signal strength 1, observer into a block, comparator. Right, so closing this just powers whatever, doesn't really matter. Now in the opening this turns off at 2, this turns on at 2 and off at 4, which means this stays on until 4 game ticks, which means this can't do anything until, yeah, 4 game ticks, which means this won't get updated from this here. Alright, now we actually want to power this piston, but before we do that we need this piston here. And the reason is that this will do a pulse in the closing, but we want this to be pushed down during the closing. And it gets power from here, but it just needs an update which this provides and then just extends. Now, you might be wondering, this goes down, so the dust line gets power from here. But this is actually turned off from this dust, so the closing doesn't really matter. This is just off, so the block can be down. Right, now how do we actually get the pulses? Well, let me first block this, because that piston here will be getting powered. Now we actually will use that for the storage or like for the swapper later, but for now let's just block it. Now we need an observer here and a block. So the dust turns on at 2, this turns on at 4, off at 6, which is perfect. Now this will drop the block at 6 in block event phase. This turned off at 6 in tile tick phase, which means this will actually detect this again and then power again at 8 and turn off at 10, and this will just clock over and over. But yeah, we can use that, so all we need to do is just retract this block at 9 game ticks, and then we get, yeah, the 2 pulses that we need here. And we'll use the sticky piston for that. Now to actually retract it, you will need a normal piston here, and then 2 observers like so. And now your wall block, which is solid, and this is the reason we have the node block, so that this gets updated, yeah, from the QC here. Right, so in the closing this goes over, this will push down, but doesn't matter, this is turned off. Opening this retracts instantly. This makes it place it back at 4 game ticks, so we get the 4 to 6 pulse here. And it turns on again at 8, but at 9 this here retracts it, and then yeah, we get 2 pulses. Right, so we can see that, I guess. So yeah, we should see the pistons do the retraction, the fold, and then the pistons here will get pushed here and then pulled back. Yeah, just like that. Right, now all we need is a retraction from here to here, and then a final retraction, but yeah, unfortunately we actually can't get those right now. So yeah, the pulse to grab these here comes from the top, and the last retraction also comes from the top. We are going to just 4 game tick pulse this piston, but that 4 game tick pulse is like integrated into the top wiring, so we can't get it. But we need that pulse to wire the bottom. So yeah, what we are just going to do is we will make a little external setup here. So observer here, and then blocks like so, comparator here, the repeater on 4 game ticks, 3 dust. Now we put this into subtraction mode, another observer, and now we are just going to subtract 14 from it, so it only powers this dust here basically. Alright, and this is also the reason that we have this piston. So it updates this, and it also updates this to push back the slider to get the full 12 game ticks. And yeah, the way it gets into the side is actually from this dust here on the downwards repeater. And then this will be connected to the other side. Well, the sides actually don't need the pulls, but we will use it for the bottom and top, so that's nice that we get it in this line as well. Alright, so we can look at that. Yeah, now we got the final retraction as well. Alright, now we can connect it to the other side. I don't know what happened here, probably deleted the block or something. Anyways, we first connect this to the dust line here. Now we need a gravity block here. Solid block, and now we push in an observer. This observer we need for the bottom later, and we will also hold up this comparator. Now we need thickness strength 12 here, so a barrel with 22 shovels will get that. Or really any other container works here. It doesn't need to be solid, just can be anything that gives thickness strength 12. Now block here, 2 blocks down, 1 up. And now we place some slabs, block, another slab. And now we just go up like so. Now on this side we actually go up like this, and the reasoning is because we will later continue this into the top. But yeah, for now just keep it like this. Grab your thickness strength barrels. Yeah, and then slab here. We can place our dust line. Like so. Alright, now one more upper piston is needed right here. And that is this done. Now these pistons are taken care of, and now let's connect this so we get the back pistons. So tire block and the updater piston facing inwards again. Now we need this and this. We push in that block like so. And now again we need 3 updaters here. Like so, and then one like this and one like this. And now we just go up and place 2 dust. Right, now all we need is the closing pulls for these and then the slider input. So let's get this real quick. So again we place our slabs with dust. Blocks here. Then 2 observers. Now this is closing pulls, and you might be wondering, well, it only powers these 2 because this doesn't travel down. But it works because these are actually getting powered from this sand here. So yeah, the sand falls down at 5 game ticks. Which means these get updated by these here at 4, and then just do a 1 game tick pulse, which works out. And if you are below 1.18.2, they actually do a 2 game tick pulse because they change when the sand updates, basically. Like deletes the block. Anyways, it works both above and below 1.18.2, so that's not an issue. Now let's get our slider going. Like so. Now on this side is a bit simpler, we just alternate solid and non-solid block like this. And we also don't need the sticky piston on top, it can just be a normal one. Right, now for the return piston, it will go in next to the slab. And what we are going to do is we just update it at 12 game ticks to push up, because we'll be QC from this block being down here and getting powered. Right, so from this node block, 2 observers go out. And then we need to push in some observers. Like so. And now this comes in handy because we already placed it. And now there's 2 observers on the piston, and that's it. Alright, so that should be the left side done as well, I believe. Let's see. Closing. Yeah, and the opening. Alright, so this is as much as we can get for the sides right now. We finish them later when we do the top. But for now we'll just disable them because it's not really needed right now. And yeah, we can just move on to the bottom now. So let's just unblock this, so we can actually wire. Now for the closing, we first want this block to be pushed up here. Now we can just connect it to the input like so, and then we just retract that block with a piston like so. Then we'll just make it 0 tick up. Next up, this block needs to be pushed in and arrive at the latest at 3 game ticks, so that it can be pushed up in time. So yeah, and we are going to power this piston through this block, which means this needs to retract instantly, because otherwise this wouldn't be here in time for this to power. So yeah, let's get that piston. We are just going to push away this block here, which gets powered with a comparator here on a slab. from this redstone block. Yeah, there's a reason for the comparator, but I will get to that later. Now, next up, we want to get this piston up here, and we will just zero tick it up at 2 game ticks. Yeah, we will just power this piston here with an observer, and then this will push it away and make a zero tick pulse, basically. Yeah, just a classic setup, right? Now, we will need to reset this, and for that we use this piston. Now, to actually update the observer, we need something, because yeah, without it, then we don't even get anything here. But yeah, just the piston and block pushes, this updates it, that's it. Right, so this almost works, but right now this would actually block this until like 3 game ticks, I think. Because this gets removed, right, when this extends. But this doesn't update this, because the piston head has this block attached. So yeah, if you didn't know about this, we have a setup like so, and now we butt this. Now this actually won't update until this arrives, right? So yeah, we need a piston here, which is just going to update this to turn off at 0 game ticks. And so this actually turns off as well reliably. We have the node block here because we have the QC here, right? Alright, so that should put the piston here. Now to get the actual pulse, we will just update the observer with this piston, and then pull it down with this sticky piston here. Yeah, so to do this, piston here. Now a log and 2 leaves, which we place like so. This goes into 2 observers. And now let me just grab the blue terracotta again. Now if I just place dust here, the piston, and if I just push this, we get a 3 game tick pulse here, which is really nice. And that is from 3 to 6 game ticks. And the reason that's nice is because now we can just have this block below the piston that powers the torch here, and since it's a 3 game tick pulse, this will go here and then just get retracted again instead of being left out. So that's pretty nice. So yeah, that's almost the left storage done. Let's just disable the right for now because it's going to push in. So yeah, that's that. It's actually pulsed again, and that is actually from 6 to 8, so we can use that later. But yeah, for the actual pulse for this block, we will use that back here. But yeah, before we do that, let me just show you what happens right now. So this grabs the block, but now it powers again, and this is super late. So all we need to do is just place this observer here, and that's it. So yeah, the comparator turns off at 5 game ticks, right? This powers at 3, but can't extend due to this powering at 2 already. Now this stays off until 16, which is nice because then we don't get like any unwanted extension here. But yeah, to make it seamless in time and also to prevent this from powering that again, we just place this observer, which places back the block. And now we can also connect this, and we should see this working. And now this actually won't grab the block because this actually extends before this retracts, right? But it doesn't really matter because the top is going to fix it by just pushing down and keeping it on at 3 game ticks until after this has retracted, basically. But anyways, let's get the right storage now. So first off, we want to retract this block as soon as possible. And yeah, the setup is a bit scuffed, but it works. So yeah, we have a piston below our double block on its face, and a normal piston with the rest of the block below. And what we're going to do is we will have a node block here, which is next to the input line. And yeah, we're just going to power this block. So a furnace here, or really any container, doesn't matter. Now this is buttered right now. This will get updated from here. Updates the piston in turn, so yeah, we'll just push away, this retracts, and then we retract it instantly. Now, this has some issues. For one, we can't like easily reset this. And yeah, well, I mean, that's the only issue basically. But yeah, so you could do a long pulse here, but that's a bit cringe to get. But instead, you can also just, you know, turn this off. Then you push this back, and then you turn it back on. And that's just what we're going to do here. So yeah, we will use a repeater here, and this also silences the node block. And now to get the actual pulse here, we just power that piston from the power block into an observer. This observer is also used for the SAW extender here later. Then just another 2 observers like so. And this turns it off until like, I don't know, 20 game ticks or something. And yeah, now for the actual reset, this is going to be a slider. So 2 blocks, then our return piston here next to the slab. Yeah, and that's also the reason we have a slab here, because we now need this observer and this piston. Now this is a toggle, right? This gets powered from here, so it only makes this power during the opening. But since this is activated, which the observers over here will detect, it would power that block, and then this and this would mess up, so we need this slab there basically. Alright, let me fix the bottom again. Now, that should already be this block like kinda done. So, retracts. And yeah, it extends super late, but we will fix that. So yeah, let's just get the back piston here. Now there's like, what, 2 blocks or something to get this, like below to the side. Oh, I guess we have this as well. But yeah, there are not really many options here. And we're going to use this observer. But yeah, by itself it actually won't work. Because this turns on at 2, turns on at 4 to 6. And that's too late. I mean, it would technically work if you had like block event delay for this piston. But yeah, this is actually already powering at that time, so it really won't work out. And we need some way of speeding this up. Now what we will just do is we come in here where the glass block is, place a sticky piston facing up the target block. Since this is QC from here and the head touches this, is actually when this retracts, this also retracts. Which means the dust here changes shape and the observer detects that. And this is instantly, right, at 0 game ticks, so this will power from 2 to 4, which is perfect. Now all we need for this piston is just a hopper here. Gets power from the dust since this no longer redirects, right? And then we just go up with an observer, and then we need a solid block in the floor. Alright, that should be the closing done, like so. And now to test the opening, at least what we have right now, we are going to need to push this down with a piston. So we will just uncut a line here, like so. Updater here. And then we need some dust. And yeah, for simplicity, we are just going to power this with a 4 game tick repeater. But in the actual top, it will be a 3 game tick pulse, of course. Alright, so now we should see the left grabbing, and this block also gets grabbed. Yeah, perfect. Right. So this messes up, but yeah, we will fix that. But yeah, let's first place an immovable block behind this piston, and that's needed because later on this would actually push over at some points, which we don't want, of course. But yeah, let's work on the double now before we finish this storage. So yeah, we have these 2 blocks already, and now when this gets pulled to the side, we want to instantly grab this from here to here. So yeah, we need to 0 check this piston and then this piston up here through this floor block. Now, for the bottom piston, we are just going to use the really classic 4 game tick pulse 0 tick generator, like so. And now the way we power it is a bit different. We just use 2 observers, like so. Now this just powers it directly, and then the QC and needed bed comes from this top here. So if I just update this, we get the 0 tick. Alright, now we need to update this instantly, right? And there aren't really many ways to get from this front instant input to the back here. But we do have this, which retracts instantly, and we can use that. So yeah, comparator here, and then any non-solid container with one 64 stackable item inside. Yeah, so the dust can still go up, right? We need a solid one, a non-solid one. Oh yeah, now this dust is going to have signal strength 1 during the closing. And then we will just have this piston here. The piston head will update this, and this will update this to turn off, right? So now, oh yeah, I forgot to reset this target block here. But apart from that, it should be fine. Now we should see that now the piston will appear up here. Perfect. Alright. Now this actually got pulled down again because this powers again, but it actually works out in the end because, yeah, so this retracts as 0. So yeah, this just powers from, like this powers from 2 to 6. So it's ready again at 9. This does a 3 game tick pulse from 3 to 6, right? But it finishes the extension at 5 game ticks, which this will notice. So it powers from 7 to 9, doesn't matter, this is retracting. This powers from 9 to 11, so it powers this again. And this retracts at 6. extends again from 9 to 12, and the 9 will get picked up by this, which means it's passed from 11 to 13 and 13 to 15. So it just prolongs the pulse from this. So yeah, it basically gets another 6 game tick pulse from, 9 to 15. Which means this actually passed from 13 to 15. And since this retracts at 12, we will just completely ignore this pulse, which is really nice. So yeah, now let's get the pulse for this piston now. And yeah, we're going to use this here, so this will just extend up, power the block, which is there at 5 from this retracting, and then pull down at 6. So we already have 2 to 4 from this observer here. And now all we need to do is prolong it until 6 game ticks and also have enough block event delay so the zero tick chain works, right? But yeah, this is actually a really elegant solution in the end. All we need to do is place this sticky piston and that's it. So let me first show you and then I will explain what's going on. Oh yeah, I forgot to reset this again, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, just like that. Alright, now what is going on is that on the closing, this pushes the resting block to here and this grabs it at 3. Right, so it's right here. Now in the opening, this will put the resting block here at 3 and retract at 6 with a lot of block event delay. Because yeah, the falling edge is like 1, 2, 3, 4 pistons, and then this already has some bed from this here, so it's like more than enough. So yeah, this pushes it here at 3, retracts at 6. That prolongs the pulse from the observer here and gets enough block event delay to make the chain work. Then we'll put the block back at 9. And at 12 it would retract, but before this turns off, this pushes over to reset. And yeah, let's just have a look at that, I guess, from below. But before we do that, let's finally get the reset for this, right? So it's QC right now, and all we need to do is just give it an update, and that's it. And this is why we placed this earlier, because now all we need to do is place 2 observers like so. And that is going to give the update to the piston. Alright, so let's watch from the bottom now. Goes over, gets retracted, then just the normal closing. Yeah, this time it's worked. And now for the opening, we get the pulse from that observer here, and then 3, 6, and now 9, and then 12 it goes over. Now this means this does another 3 game tick pulse here, but that doesn't matter because the 3 game tick pulse, the observer just won't turn on, so it doesn't really matter. It will only turn on when it's back down, but since there's nothing here, it can't power anything. Alright, now believe it or not, that's almost the entire middle done. We just need one more piston to get the 9 game tick and 12 game tick retractions. And that is this piston. So let me just show you. Yeah, so how does it work? Well, the bottom piston is QC'd from here, and this updates it. Now you might be wondering, I'm QCing 2 pistons from this block, right? This and this. But we only have 2 updater pistons here, so how is it reliable? Well, then we use a little updater trick. So basically we care about the rising edge, right? When these turn on. Falling edge doesn't matter, they will turn off anyways. But yeah, since the head updates before the base, right? This piston updates before that one. Which means in turn this one updates before that one. And we can reliably QC 2 pistons. And then the final retraction comes from this. And since we have the piston here and on an instant updater, it will always power this piston instead of the one below. Alright. Now let's fix this here. So we actually, if we look closely, already have a pulse at 6 here, gets ignored. But then we have a pulse at 9, which is the perfect timing for this, right? Because this pulse again at 9 gets retracted, wait, at 8 gets retracted. But yeah, right now it's a bit slow because of the observer below, right here. But yeah, we're going to fix that. So yeah, all we need to do is we get the retraction from here, remove the observer, and then we push up this block earlier than this right now because it's like way too late. Alright, so let's get the block in here now. So all we need to do is basically extend this piston, make it drop the target block at 12 because we have a zero tick here at 12 and that is connected to that piston, and that's all we need to do. So yeah, but before we do that, we need to take the item out of here because otherwise it would mess up like everything. So yeah, let's come in here where this observer and the other one is, and then place another one down, another one across, so it's like the same pattern repeated. Now we come in here and place an observer right here, and that's it. That will make the piston place the block at the correct timing. Now this is like a bit spammy, but it doesn't really matter. All we care about is that the block is there at 12. And now we actually need to update this again. Wait, we need to put in the item first, of course. So we need the item now. And the reason we took it out is because otherwise when we place this observer, this will extend, which we really can't do because right now it's buttered. If this was extended during the closing, it would mess this up because there's nothing that updates it to 0, right? So it would just stay until 3 and then this gets like turbo messed up. And yeah, it will also update the slider. And now we can actually update this to extend again. And now we can look at what's going on. Yeah, so right now this spams, and unfortunately it spams in the wrong state. Otherwise we would really need to control this observer, because if I place this here, it's it's a bit slow, the retraction, but it doesn't really matter, right? So this does like a one gigantic pulse, which doesn't matter because this puts back the block anyways, and any further pulses get blocked because it's extended, right? But yeah, since the closing doesn't work, we actually need to do something with this observer. And that will just be a observer here, piston here, and we come in here and place a sticky piston, which is just going to make this work basically. So it's going to retract the 3 game ticks in the closing right now, and then it stays there, so it won't get any further pulses, so this doesn't get pulled back. And in the opening it just spams a bit basically, but that really doesn't matter, we don't care about that. Right, so this turns out a 6, but this is anyways, then I get a 0 tick here at 9, gets placed at 12. Yeah, and then we just retract everything. So yeah, that is the middle extender and the storage done, but we need one more thing, which is this normal piston here to push up the blocks again, right? So at 3 game ticks there will be like so, and it needs to push up at 3 so that the side can grab all of them. Now what we're going to do is we just connect it to our pulses here. But the issue is we need to filter some, right? So if it would just be like this, this would like push up in the closing and do all sorts of stuff and mess up the door. So we need to filter pulses, and we are going to have a target block slider, like so. Now this piston will just be controlled with a target block. And this one, we have a piston here, observer here, and a solid block in the floor, and then an updater piston for that one. And by the way, this slider, when it goes up, it gets QC through this block right at 2, and this actually updates it in the closing, in the opening. But yeah, let me just tell you what's going on. Closing this powers at 5, which means this goes over at 5. This way we get the nice 3 game tick, 0 tick for this still, and then nothing more happens. Now in the opening, this powers from 2 to 4, which blocks this, so it can't extend at 3, which means this can power at 3. Then at 6 this is going to go back over. Now this could actually power at 6, depending on which piston powers first of these two, right? But since this piston is powering from 4 to 6 and retracts the block, this actually is blocked. And then yeah, this is ready for the 9 and 12 pulse in the middle again, and this just can't get powered anymore. So if we just look at that, we have the closing. This doesn't do anything, which is really nice because this powers at 4, so if this actually did something, it would push up at 3, and then it would push up this block instead of the block being pushed over here. Now the opening, you should see a pulse at 3, and then that's all. So yeah, 3 game ticks, now it gets blocked by this for 6, and now this is gone, and can't power anymore. So yeah, that is actually the bottom and the piston here done, the return piston. So now we can just remove this. And let's also disable part of the bottom, like so. And we still want this because we need the slider here when we do the top and so on. But yeah, that's the bottom, and now we can move on to the instant extension. Okay, so let's first get the input for these two pistons here. Now let me just tell you what we're doing. So we have pistons like this, just like the 0.9 second 5x5. And yeah, we'll push them back down instantly in the opening. And then this gets placed here instantly as well. And then later on this will also get powered instantly to do the gigantic pulse. But yeah, right now let's just work on getting the piston over here. So let's get the input going. Now the input looks something like this. The slab here is needed so we don't power the slider. And then we redirect the dust into this, and now we only power these two pistons here, right? Now we are going to need a hopper right here. Now this doesn't need to be a hopper actually, you can use a note block. But the reason I use the hopper is because when you fill in your walls, or if you want to change the wall blocks, whatever, the instrument of a note block would change, and later on there will be an observer here. This will detect the instrument change, just powers, and then your entire door disintegrates. So for safety reasons I'm using the hopper. But yeah, if you use a note block and the door breaks, then yeah, that's on you, I guess. But yeah, that's up to you. Anyways, what we are going to do is we are just going to extend this during the closing, and we're going to power this, and then in the opening we uncut this power, and a few microticks later we unpower this and we get a 0 tick here. So let's get that in. We have a normal piston with redstone block. This is going to power that here, and then observer facing up. Now we return this with this here. It's getting QC from here, and now this piston will up with that one. And now if I just flick the door and place the pistons, you see that they just get pushed down instantly. And now if I actually just for a second enable this here, you will see that it just doesn't interfere, right? It just goes through, which is just what we want. Alright, now that is the first pulse done, but we actually can get the closing pulse here as well. This is what we use the observer for, and all we need to do is place a block here. Now, by itself it doesn't work because this just pushes it away. But we can place a sticky piston, and now we get the closing pulse and an instant 0 tick. Right, now the reason we have a sticky piston here is because if we use a normal one, this would be blocked and can't extend, right? So let me just show you, I guess. It's blocked. And yeah, but if we use a sticky piston, and this retracts the block, that's going to updates this, and then we get the 0 tick. And this just resets it, so it's ready for the closing again. Alright, now let's get the pulse for the piston down here. Now we're just going to power the sealing block here. And yeah, we have dust here. That's also the reason we have the observer here, so it gets redirected to the observer, because later on there will be a redstone block here. If this just powers this, then the first move obviously fails. So yeah, we need to redirect it like so. And yeah. Alright, now let's actually just disable this, and we are also going to need a removable block here. Later on the middle will block it, but for now let's just have it like this. Alright, now we need some block event delay to go into this here. And yeah, we'll just spam some piston basically. So yeah, we have a piston with a block. This will go up onto a torch. Now I'm using pink here because this block does more for the rest of the top than for the instant extension, but it doesn't really matter. Then a piston with redstone block. A regular piston here. Another sticky with redstone block. One more sticky. Then our final sticky with the redstone block. And now since this actually doesn't retract when this extends because nothing updates it, we need to place an observer here with an activated rail or powered rail on top. And now it actually can power the dust. So yeah, here we have 1, 2, 3 pistons. So here we need 6, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Alright, let me just show you what this does. We're actually almost finished with this. The closing pulse, whatever. Now opening. So the free game tick pulse. So it gets updated to turn on by being placed, right? But nothing updated to turn off after this pulse here is no longer on. So we'll just do a free game tick pulse. But yeah, what we're going to do is just use the side to retract this block and update this. And let me just remove that back piston actually and place this block here. And now if we, actually let's have this down here. If we connect this here finally to the side, we can get that. So all we need to do is turn off the side after this pulse basically. So yeah, what we're going to do is we use the 3 block event we already have in here to QC this piston with a target block. And now the redstone block also doesn't power this anymore, which is really nice. Now up with the piston here and here, and that's it. So yeah, let me just show you and then I will tell you how it works. Yeah, just like that. Alright, so what's going on is that we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bed as well. So that wouldn't be reliable, but the wall piston here, like the side piston, is the 7th piston. So now this gets reliably updated to turn off. And yeah, that's already the instant extension done, and the closing pulse for these two as well. So yeah, let me just remove this, and yeah, now we can wire the rest of the top. Alright, let's wire the top now. It actually needs quite a lot of things now, but yeah, we can manage. So let's first push down these two blocks for the closing by just extending our input line and then connecting it to this piston here with an observer and dust. Now I'm using glass blocks so we can see stuff, but obviously anything works. Well, I mean, redstone blocks don't work, but if you use redstone blocks here, then I can't really help you. Anyways, now we need to redirect this into the piston here because we want this target block. You could also use a rail, but I use the observer because it doesn't need a support block basically. But yeah, any redirector works, I think. Now we need this piston to retract this block, because you want this to drop this, so we can actually insert this during the closing. Like so. And yeah, we could just retract it at 2 game ticks with like a torch or something. But we will make it retract the block instantly, and then we can actually reuse this piston and the block for something else as well. So yeah, comparator, and then we just power it with composter through the node block here. And to make this extend, we just connect it to our input line. Like this. Alright, now that should be those 2 blocks done. And next up we want this to push in, like the back piston here had 3 game ticks for that block. So let's get to that. Now conveniently the side pulse with 3 game ticks, so we literally just connect it up like so, and that's it. Now that's the closing, but this like spams like crazy. So we actually want to prevent that. And we will just keep it powered until 8 game ticks. And that's the back piston done. And now, while we're at it, we can also get the final retraction in because it doesn't need any 0 ticks or anything like that. So 2 observers like this, and then just a repeater on 6 game ticks on top like this. And now we should see the closing. And we should see this piston get retracted and like do the final retraction. Like this. Alright, perfect. Now let's actually work on this block storage here. So let me just place this here. So if I activate this now, this doesn't re-extend because when this is placed, this is still moving. So it's immovable, this can't push. Now all we need to do is at 3 game ticks we retract this. This gets up now the 1 game tick pulls until 4, retracts this. And then we just 0 tick this piston to grab that block. And now we are free to push this down at 5. And the reason we don't just grab this at 5 and 0 tick this down at 5 is because at 5 these blocks are still here. We have our floor block, and this will be extended, so we have like immovable blocks here. And then that means if you want to 0 tick this down at 5, we need an up better piston for the piston that pushes it, because it's immovable below there. And it's really annoying to get, so these are like the timings that make it the easiest, I guess. And the reason you push it down at 5 and not 6 is because it saves 1 0 tick, right? If you push it down at 5, we can have a 1 game tick pulse to grab it back up at 9. If you push it down at 6, we need another 0 tick at 9, which is like pretty annoying. And also it helps with the extra pulse for this, but I will explain that when we get there. Anyways, let's get the 3 game tick pulse for this now. On the previous one, the one I showed like with the showcase, I had a stupid button setup for this, so it would be butted until 2 game ticks with some block event, because this going up would actually update it, so like pretty stupid. But yeah, I realized that this doesn't re-extend actually. So all we can do is just yeah, take the side pulse and connect it to that piston, and that's it. So we go up like so, down, and then 1 more slab, and then just dust like so. Now there's also past the back piston, but that really doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, we have the slab here, so that this doesn't interfere with the side. But it goes up but not down, so this doesn't like destroy the entire side. Alright, so we have that piston, we have that, and now we just need a 0 tick for that piston where it's over here. And yeah, there aren't really many options because we can't do this since this is moving. Same thing over here, I mean we have this anyways, but even if we didn't, observer would be right here at that time, and then it's not even a solid block, right? But what we can do is we can have an observer here and the piston on top. And what we are going to do is we push it down during the closing, whatever, doesn't matter. And in the opening, we do a 2 game tick pulse. 2 game ticks. That turns off with some block event delay, and that will make the piston 0 tick and grab the block from here to here. So let's get that in. Now update the piston target block. The actual pulse comes from this observer. Now this needs to be cut so that it still gets powered here, right? Now the reason we have the target block is because we don't want this dust to power here, because then this would fail later on. So yeah, now we need something to update this, which is just going to be a sticky piston like so, with a block on its face. Alright, so in theory that works already, but this is like way too early for the closing, because this would like instant extend powers from 2 to 4, which means this down here would turn on at 6. And due to the way we powered the top, it actually wouldn't push down, but this would push over, and that would of course break the door, and we don't want that. So yeah, we need to delay this, and what we're just going to do is we just place it down later, right? So we push it down, after some delay, and then extends, and opening it instantly retracts, and then we just grab it back up. So let's get that in. So observer here, above this, dust on the red block, then 2 more like this into a block. Now we use this for something else, but we can have the piston here and then also use it to get the timing for this one, which is pretty cool. Alright, so now we should actually see the storage working and the double extender as well. So now this pushes over, right, because this got pushed down, but we will later time this right corner in a way so that this gets blocked. And now if I just slow it down a bit, it gets pushed over, 3 game tick, 4 game tick, now 8, and then 11 to 12 we get this, perfect. That's the double extender done, and we almost have this done as well. Now this needs to push in the blocks at 12 to make the seating seamless in time. But we will actually write it at the very end, because right now we need other things. But yeah, let's just disable this. And let's now work on getting this piston down from here to here, and also on the 0 tick to get this from here to here. Alright, so what we're going to do to power this piston is we'll push down the target block like so. And now if we have our ceiling, and this block has to be solid by the way, we can have just dust here and power the piston to push this one down. So yeah, then in the opening we do that, we pull that up, pull this back, pull this up, and then we will put those in. But yeah, this piston gets controlled by the side slider. So yeah, actually now we are going to finish the sides, because without them we can't get this piston. And we also need the side to update this piston, because it will be QC'd from here. And it needs an update to turn off, and that will come from the side retracting that block. Alright, so let's do the side, I guess. Just remove those two for now, we don't need them. Let's start with this piston here. So yeah, the side pulse needs 4 more block event than this back pulse here. And you might be wondering why it's 4, because usually 3 is enough. But the reason is that we have QC here, right? And even though it's like a million dust updates going on, it could still happen that this gets updated to turn off by this. And in that case, for this to be able to grab the block, we would need the 4 block events, so that's what we're going to do. Now, we just connect this to our line, right? Like so. This is updated piston, so we already have 2. Now this will actually go into closing, but we just blocked this piston with that one here, and that prevents it. Now we need 2 more block event delay for this slider. And yeah, we will use some cool tricks for that. So no block here, and then an observer extender like so. And that adds 1 block event already, so what's going to happen in the opening is at 3. This gets pushed up, powers at 5. Now it doesn't go down because we have a slab here, so it doesn't power itself. And then at 6 it just retracts, and now we gain 1 block event. And now same story at 9 and 12, but it doesn't really matter. Now one more thing though, this actually gets stuck up here during the closing, so we need to pull it back down. But yeah, we're just going to use the piston arm here, which updates this, hopper, another one. That works for the closing and opening. In opening, this just ignores the pulses from here, because this is like, what, 7 to 9 and 13 to 15 or something. So this just ignores the pulses. And yeah, since this actually powers this line again during the closing, we also have to delay this so much, because this block arriving here would update this, which we don't want. Alright, now we need 1 more block event to make this slider here reliable. And this will come basically from the same thing, like so. Right, this is connected to the line, and then this gives it the extra power here, and then we just connect it like so. Alright, one more thing though, we want to block this during the closing, like so. And yeah, that's the front slider. Now for the back slider, we are going to just drop a redstone block and push this back down. And that will also be the timing for this. So like this pushes down at 6, and then we get 8 to 10 here, which is pretty perfect. Yeah, so let's get to that. Now in the closing, we need to retract this pretty late, because we want this to power after this has, you know, placed the piston. And we also need to block this from going up. So let's get the closing pulse first. And that's pretty easy. It's just a classic toggle here, right? A block below the piston, and then a piston observer, which you're just going to power with a repeater on 2 game ticks like so. Alright, that is the closing. And now for the opening, we are going to power this block with dust by using these pistons and observers. Alright, so this is just the same principle as here, just a little bit different. So the 3 game ticks, all of these are going to spit out the observers, right? Because yeah, these are connected to the main line with this tire block. There's also the reason it's a tire block, because if we just use this for this slider here, we could just use a normal block, right? But we want this to also power these two, so we use a tire block. Now at 6 game ticks, this retracts, and now this can retract, and now that can retract, because like this powers both of these, this powers this one, or the observer rather, but doesn't really matter anyways. And then this finally retracts. And this way we get like 3 block event in 9 blocks, which is actually pretty cool. Now one more thing, we don't want these to do anything during the closing, so we just populate like so. And this is also the reason we placed these the way they are earlier, so we can control that piston. Alright, and then the rest of the pulses here for this piston at 9 and 12 just get blocked by the bottom, by the way. Yeah, so that should be the side done, I believe. Let's just break this for now. Let me fill in the blocks. Like so. And let's see if the side works, or if I forgot anything. Yeah, it works, perfect. Alright, and now we can finally get the pulse into this target block here. Yeah, we will also use this redstone block. But let's first place a piston and block here. Observer and then a repeater. This has to be a repeater, by the way, so it's reliable. But yeah, we will use the fact that this actually starts to move at 5 game ticks, and this powers at 5 to get a 0 tick in this line. Yeah, so like this turns on at 5. This starts moving at 5. Now all we need is an uphitter piston for that one, which we are going to place right here. So now when it goes back, this is an extender, so we need one more uphitter like so. The reason that we don't just use a note block here is because it would make the sound when this gets powered, which is a bit cringe. But anyways, that is the first pulse. And now to grab it back up, we just need this, and that's it. Now this will spam like 10,000 pulses or something. Well, not quite, but you get the idea. But since we have the rail here, it actually doesn't matter if this powers, right? The target block will get pulled up at 10, and then this like just can't do anything, so it doesn't matter if this spams. Alright, so we can take a look at that, and we should see the piston being... Oh yeah, we need the pulse for that, but that's fine. We should see now this piston pushed down at 5 and then pulled back at 9. Alright, this time should work. Yeah, 5 and then 1 game tick pulls it back up. Right, and we also have a retraction for that. Now to get the closing here, we just have this observer, hopper, and then one more observer. And now we should actually see the thing working. So closing, pushes down, pushes in, and this gets inserted. And opening, we see the 2 pulses. This gets grabbed back. Now this is actually 1 game tick too early, but we will have another observer later on that grabs this at the correct timing. But yeah, let's for now just work on the middle chain. You know, when this gets pushed over. So yeah, let's do that. This needs to be like so. Alright. Oh, and by the way, this is also correct timing for this, for the opening, which is actually pretty nice. But yeah, let's first get the input for this middle piston here. So, sealing block with dust, and now we just cut this off so it doesn't connect. Now this needs to extend at 6 gamepiece during the closing, but we're actually going to power it at 5, and then it gets updated by these finishing extension because they are powered by this from 4 to 6. And yeah, this is the reason that we need to delay that observer thing, because this would be later than that basically. But yeah, anyways, to power this, we will just push down the redstone block. Now this needs to retract at 3 game ticks. And yeah, we use that for that. But let's first get the closing. So we need a lamp here, observer, block up here, and then a repeater. So both of these are going to power 2 game ticks. But this powers before this. This QCs the piston, and then this updates it to extend at 2, powers at 5, and then this updates at 6. Alright, now on the opening, we have a lamp here, right? So this actually powers at 6 in the opening, so it won't update this when this turns off, or like after this turns off. And instead, when this here makes this extend at 3, it's going to update this, and then we get the nice 3 gameplay delay we need. And yeah. Also, we want to extend this piston. Let's just do that. We want to extend this piston here because the sealing block is powered. So we need some kind of immovable block here so that this doesn't push over, right? And that's the reason we have to do that, basically. But yeah, that's the middle pulse. And now we should see the 3 game tick pulse here happening. Because, yeah, this gets powered with sealing, and then this turns off, and we get 3 game tick. And now the bottom will also not be able to push up, like I said earlier. But yeah, before we look at that, we should get the pulse for this piston here. So what we are going to do is we will just power it through the ceiling at 5 game ticks to 6. And what's going to happen is basically this situation. So we have the piston here, and we power this. And now this is going to retract at 3, finish at 5, so this gets updated to be the first piston at 6 to extend, which is important for this later. And then yeah, we remove that power source at 6. Now it's QC'd, right? I mean, we'll do a 3 game tick pulse, but it's actually nice to demonstrate. And then the side retracts this block, and we update it, and it will split this over. So let's get that. So what we're going to use is just an observer and a piston down to the ceiling. Now let's just disable this so I can explain better. So yeah, right now it won't work, but if we just split this back out, this here is going to retract, this extends at 3, observer powers at 5. Now all we need is some way of retracting this at 6, and yeah, what we can do is just power this again, so we'll split away the block, and now this will retract at 6, like so, right? So extends at 3, and then at 6 it grabs back. Now this isn't ready for the opening again, so we need this here, and this will just make it do that basically, and reset. Now we need one more thing though, because when I close it, this stays back, so we need to split it back out, so it's ready for the opening now. And yeah, just a hopper, block, observer, and a block, and that does it. And we use the hopper because the array would actually update this, and we don't want that because it's connected to this, right? Yeah, and now if you see, this extends at 3, this powers at 5, gets retracted at 6, and now this does the 4 game tick pulse, right? Retracts back, and now these are ready again for the closing. Alright, now if we add everything back here, we should actually see this piston do the 6 game tick 0 tick here. So let's put in this, this, fill in the blocks. Yeah, for now let's just keep it like so. Yeah, and now you see this pushes down. This still pushes over, but yeah, the right side will fix it. Now these 2 pistons, and now we should see the 6 game tick 0 tick here below the ceiling. So we clear the blocks, right? This gets pushed down, this updates it now, and it gets pushed over because the side updates it to turn off. Perfect. and we also get a grab back up. Now this pushed in right now, which is bad, but it won't matter because this actually just blocks it later. So that's fine. Now next up, we want this to zero down at 6, and then these two pistons need to grab this block and this block, right? All of these game ticks, like, you know, after this has dropped the blocks, or the block. So let's get that. Now let's first get the zero tick for that back piston here. So what we are going to do is we'll just have an observer here, which we just push away, right? And that way we make it zero tick. Now to update this, we use just some observers. So observe the block, rail here, and then one more observer that updates this. Now let's just break this for a second, place this slab right here, and then we can replace it. And then we have slabs with dust, and then observer with dust as well. Now what this is going to do is we get powered by this here and receive a zero tick. And we just connect it to that and we get a zero tick here. So yeah, the reason this works is because this observer gets updated in tile tick phase by this, right? And this gets placed in tile entity phase or block entity phase, however you would like to call it. But that's later than tile tick phase, which means in turn this piston will be powered before this one, which means this will zero tick at 6, which is perfect. Now, how do we actually get the other two pulses? So we have achieved this, but we still need to grab up the block and this piston like so. Well, we can actually reuse this input, right? And that's what we're going to do. So we have another piston with rest of the block. This gets a zero tick from the slider. And the slider already has a lot of bed from here. So yeah, all we really need is one more piston now. So this will split the block here. And now this has dust, and that's also doing the slider here, so that's taken care of. And now to connect it to this, we will just have one final piston, which we actually need. And that's just going to push away an observer, which powers this input for this node block, and also powers the slider, right? So this does like the middle chain and both of these right side sliders, which is like really good. So all we need now is to update this as 6 game ticks here, and that will make it work. Alright, so let's get to that. Now we also want to update this at 6 game ticks in the opening, because this is when this will push it away and this retracts. And we just do this so this doesn't power again here at, what was it, be 10 or something? Yeah, it would be 10. And that would like destroy the closing. We don't want that. So yeah, this is why we update it when it retracts. Anyways, observer pointing this way. And by the way, this will be used to get the pulse for this, so we don't need that soon. Anyways, repeater here. Now for the closing, just observer here. And for the opening, hopper and an observer. Alright, and while we are at it, we can just do the first pulse for this slider here, I guess. So next to this node block, we use a block with dust, which is also the reason we have no block here, because it can't be here since it will cut this off, right? Now what we are going to do is we will have a piston here. This is going to update this, and so it can actually extend and push away this observer. Right, so on the closing this pushes at 0, this powers at 2, and then at 3 this retracts, so at 1 power here, which is nice. And then in the opening, retracts instantly, powers at 2 and gets pushed away at 3. Now we need one more thing, we want this to block, like to not go down during the closing. And to do this we just place an observer here. Now you might be wondering, we have 3 observers here. And here we have a repeater and 2 observers. So how can this block the top if the top like is earlier, you know? But the reason this works is because we already powered at 4 game ticks to 6 from here, so it's powered from 4 to 8 with these two. And at 5, this sand here arrives up here, which updates this to extend at 6, making this the first piston to extend at 6 in the closing, so this can't push down basically. Alright, but let's look at that, I guess. Actually, let's look at the left side first, or the right side, I guess. So enable this again. Because we have the sliders now, it should be working, I think. So let's double check. all blocks are in place. Yeah, let's see if the right side works. Closes. Okay, this bottom one didn't work. Yeah, I mean, how would it work if we're not powering the piston? Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. We just delete this, place a tire block here, and then we're just going to push this in. Since this turns on at 2, this is the perfect time for this to push up. And now we just place this again. Alright, now the right side should also work. Yeah, perfect. Alright, and now we can look at the 6 game peak chain, I guess. So let's fill everything back in. Target block like so. Yeah, that looks good, I think. So it pushes over still, break that. Now we place these 2. Alright, let's see. Five and then 6. Yeah, this grabbed. Now we only need this, right? And actually, we almost have it already, believe it or not. We just need like 1 piston and 3 blocks. So let's get that in. Now, yeah, previously, for that piston here, like the one below here, we actually inserted another tire block here. But that's like really disgusting to wire actually. So yeah, we realized we can just use the front input again. And later on, the reason that this won't be able to power is because it will have a block here. And since this piston will be the first to be scheduled to power at 6 game ticks, it will push over here. Right, it will push over, which means there are moving blocks here, which means that one can't push down. So if we use the input, only this gets powered, which is like super nice. Alright, now previously in the firefight top we had this input for that piston, but like why use that if we already have this dust and all we need to do is just remove this block for like a moment and then replace it, and then yeah, this pulse just does it for us. So yeah, all we need is this sticky piston, this repeater, and then 2 blocks like this and this repeater to put it back. Yeah, and now we should see a 6 game peak chain if we actually place this here. If this is down here, it will actually like fail really hard. But yeah, make sure we replace everything correctly. Yeah, it's pretty annoying if we make like one mistake, the entire top breaks. But yeah. Alright. So now we have the same thing basically, but we should also see this get pulled up 1 block higher. Perfect. Alright. Now, next up, what we need is this piston to be grabbed back at 9, and then this to retract this at 9, and this to retract this up at 9 as well. So all of these need to happen at 9. Now this is already done by this here. And for these 2 pistons we can use the same 0 tick since they're right next to each other. So let's get that in. Let me just fix this. Alright, just like so, and also remove that piston. It's not needed, it's actually too much. Alright, so let's get that 9 game peak 0 tick. We are just going to power that block, and yeah, make sure to place this up here. Now a rail here to operate that piston. And now we have a observer piston downwards, observer here. Whoops, let me please place it. Alright. And then where this dust is, like next to the 4 game tick 0 tick gen, place an observer going up, and a sticky piston and an observer, and then this piston is going to push away that observer. Yeah, and the reason this works is because basically this piston extends before this dust line turns on, because it says like a million block event delay, right? In turn, this powers before this. This gets dropped before this gets dropped, which means these 2 power before this powers, and then we get a reliable on my protected 0 tick for these 2 pistons here. And there's actually dual edge as well, so it does the closing for this piston as well, and this is timed correctly so it actually just pushes in. So yeah, we can see the closing now. So right, this pushes down, it gets put down, and then this is inserted. Of course later there are blocks in front, right? But yeah, now all we need is to place this piston. And now we should see the 6 game peak chain this gets retracted back up at 9. And we should also see this fold happening. So all right now. Perfect. And we will also see this do a 1 game tick pulse to grab this here. Because this observer here actually gets triggered again by this, right? Gets 0 tick down at 6. And then this turns on at, what is it? This is 7, so this is 9. So this powers from 11 to 13. So all we need to do to get the final retraction here is just pull that back up at 12. And that is the middle done. So yeah, let's get that real quick. But first we need to fix this up. Yeah, now you see this didn't push anymore because it got blocked. But yeah, it's actually pretty easy. So right in the beginning we place this observer to the slider, and now we're going to use the fact that only powers during the opening. Yeah, just like this here. And now we just place 2 observers and that's it. By the way, this is contained. Even if you have block here, this won't get powered here because this blocks it. But yeah, now we should see the middle extender finished actually. Make sure this points the right way. Alright, let's see. Now this turns back on again and we cut the pulse. Perfect. Now this gets powered again from this being placed back, but we retract it up fast enough so that won't matter. So yeah, let's actually get to this fold now, and then we can actually finish this left side. So yeah, we need to extend the pulse from this for 1 more game tick here, and this will just do it for us. Now that's that piston done, and we need a 0 tick to grab this from here to here, while this pulls this from here to here. And yeah, we placed this earlier, we are going to use it now. I mean, we used it already for this, but yeah, it's a multi-purpose. Anyways, dust that block. And now we're just going to have a classic 4 game tick pulse 0 gen like so. Just going to power the piston. Now one issue is we don't want this to power during the closing, because that would just mess up the entire door. So you place this piston, which is just going to toggle this, right? So this turns on at 4 off of 6. This turns on at 6 off at 8, so it just dodges the pulse on the closing basically. Alright, let's look at that. Oh, by the way, this gets powered from here, which is powered by the dust at 6, right? 6, 8, 10, total for 12, perfect. Now, this powers earlier, but this actually blocks it. Then when this gets removed, it starts to extend. And now when this retracts, we shall see this getting pulled up. Alright, perfect. So all we need to do now is power this piston at 12, and we have this side done. So yeah, it's actually already powered at 12. But what we are going to do is we extend it until 13, and then this dust turning off is like super late, and this is going to update this to push in. Yeah, and that's actually pretty easy to achieve. We just need a block here, repeater on 4 game ticks. Now this redirected the dust below this, so we need to place this back here. And now we just have observer here into a block. So this powers gets pushed here at 3, this powers at 5, this turns on at 9, off at 13. Doesn't travel down because we have a slab, so it doesn't interfere with anything. And then this dust here next to the piston is going to update at 12 to push in. And yeah, that should be the left side finished. Let's see, I guess. Alright. We have this here, and now we should see the fold working and this get pushed in. Perfect. Alright, so this side is finished now. And now this side, it's actually quite a bit left. Like if we look again at the sequence here, it's like a really annoying corner. So if we look at the opening, what we have so far is nothing of this basically, right? We need those two moves. And now what we also need is this to push in at 9 after this has retracted. Now we need this to push up as well, and we need this piston as well. And of course we need the closing stuff to prepare for the opening. But yeah, the wiring is actually pretty efficient. But yeah, before we get that, we can actually get the pulse here now, so we don't need this annoying stuff anymore. So yeah, observer here, and replace that, and observer here. Alright, so let me just explain what's going on. This powers at 0, which means this powers from 2 to 4, but this retracts instantly. This pushes up a 2, so this actually doesn't get affected by this first pulse. Now this gets powered again, right, because we get the 0 tick here. This gets powered again at 6, which means it's powered from 8 to 10. And now we just need to prolong the pulse from 10 to 12, just done from this, right? So this retracts at 6, and that means this turns out at 10. Sorry, at 8 to 10. This 10 to 12. Now this is a double pulse, but the second pulse will get blocked by this pushing back up. So yeah, that's that. I guess we can have a quick look at that. But yeah. See, we got the final pulse without the nasty external setup. Alright, now let's get to this closing here. So first off, we want to push this in so that we can then pull up the block and insert this piston. And all of that needs to happen before this goes down, powers the piston, because otherwise it pushes over. So yeah, it's a bit annoying, but yeah, we can get it. So first up, we want to power that piston, which we're just going to do with this observer. And that also has the correct timing for the opening. Now this, you just had a piston, it was just this here, it doesn't really matter. Because yeah, placing it updates this. Anyways, this also is correct for the opening, because this insta retracts, right? So we get 2 to 4 here. Now, next step for the closing, we want to pull this up from here to here. But before we get that, let's get the opening pulse for the piston behind here as well. So we have a log with leaf, which we place right here. And then we just place an observer going into this glass block so it powers that. Now, finally enough, this would actually work for the closing as well if it was like one game peak later. But yeah, we can't get that. It actually powers at the same time as this, I think. But it doesn't matter because we have the side pistons here extended, so this can't push down, it's blocked. So it's like reliable. But yeah, it's like a bit unfortunate that it's like just off. So we need something else. Yeah, and that is going to be a dropper right here. Now make sure to update this. And now we obviously want to silence it, right? So we need a minecart hopper here. And we just place 5 items inside. And then a different item in the dropper. And now this won't make any noises. But yeah, from this we go down with this piston here. Sorry, observer into a piston here. And then we go across like so. And then we place a target block here. A rail. Break this for a second, then one more observer. And this does this here for the closing. And it's also the correct timing for the opening, right? Remember, it needs to pull up at 12. So that the piston goes from here to here. And this can retract the block. So yeah, that's the correct timing for both the closing and opening. And now we just need to replace this again, like so. Yeah, so the reason it's this scuffed setup is because basically you have like opening needs perfect timing and closing has like very little leeway. Right, now all we need to do is push this piston in and it will be getting powered by this block from the input line. And yeah, this will just do it. And this will also do all the pulses we need for the opening. So yeah, that's the closing done. I think the opening will probably disintegrate, but we will see what happens. So now that gets cleared. That is pulled up at 5, which is important, because otherwise it would pull out and then we would like get blocks pushed out here. But yeah, actually it isn't that bad. Alright, so what we need now is the 0 tick at 9 for that piston and the 0 tick at 12 for that piston. So let's get that in. And yeah, those are actually pretty elegant in the end. So we will just connect it to our side pulses here with this double block and no block here to update. And yeah, all we need to do is just uncut the line at the correct timing. So this is getting powered by this, and then we just retract it up. So let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, it works. So all we need now is to place back this block, and this observer is going to do that. Now let me just show you one more time, and then I will explain what's going on. Alright, so this retracts at 8 game ticks, which means at 9 this powers that piston and that piston. But this piston gets retracted at 4 game ticks from this here. And then it actually gets placed back again. So it's ready for the 12 game tick pulse. This can't power at 12 because this here blocks it. And then to prepare for the opening, it gets retracted again at the perfect timing. Because this 0 ticks at 9, right? Well, first off, it gets a pulse from 2 to 4, which means this is 4 to 6, retracts at 6, and places back at 10. It's 0 ticks at 9, and finishes retraction at 11, which means this powers again from 13 to 15, which is the perfect timing to grab this back. And yeah, then we just recut this line with the observer, and that's it. So yeah, I guess we can look at the corner in slow motion as well. Like so. Right, so this turns on now, and we push that away. The leaf log thing pulls this back up when this has dropped 1 game pick after. Now this gets powered from the piston, retracts. The block gets cleared so we don't push this out into the dust. Now this 0 ticked, but this won't notice because it's still on, right? Like 8 to 9 and the 0 ticks at 9. So this gets placed at 10 now. This gets pushed, pulled up at 12 from this chain. 0 tick from the side. This gets blocked by this as well, and even if it didn't have it, like it was like super quick, this would block it. And then finally this pulls back that piston. Alright, so now we can actually enable the bottom again and look at the whole door. So yeah, let's see if it works with the bottom. But yeah, it really should. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. Yeah, that's it. Alright, congratulations if you made it this far into the video, because this was quite long. And yeah, even more so if you actually were crazy enough to build along. But yeah, anyways, now we can build, fill in the door frame. I'm just going to use glass again, but solid blocks work, of course. Yeah, now if you use the node block here, you should break this, place the block and then replace it, because otherwise the whole door just destroys itself. But yeah, a couple of blocks actually need to be solid for the door to work, and I will go over them when I fill this in. So yeah, obviously the blocks here, the sides for the sliders need to be solid. So that's this block, this block, this block, these 2 blocks, and then these 2 blocks here in the ceiling. Now also this block needs to be solid, as well as these 2, because this powers through, right? And these 2 actually switch place every single time. Now it's on the left, and now it's on the right. And yeah, also the top has an inbuilt tape, which is quite funny. So if I just close this, now the block is here. Now I've traveled all the way over here. And yeah, every time you open the door it will be a different spot. And then I think after like 5 cycles or something like that, it just repeats itself. And now it's in the middle. And next time it should be in the beginning again, yeah, like this. But yeah, now this door also works with a wooden button input, which is quite funny. So like that, and you can also invert it with a torch, of course. Right, so you can have this, you open it, and close again. Now you can actually, if you are crazy enough to build this in survival for some reason, you can just connect the input like this by extending the input line. Just be careful with sickness strength because it actually needs to travel down and do more stuff, right? But yeah, there's also one more thing. You can actually change the closing animation. So if you watch these two blocks on the closing, they go in from 4 to 6 right now, like so. And you can change it to be 0 tick in at 6 instead by just replacing this with a block, because this will actually make it 0 tick. So yeah, this looks like this. Yeah, do whatever you prefer. I personally prefer the animation like this, but it doesn't really matter, it works the same. Alright, so yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too boring because it was like super long. But yeah, I hope you learned something, and yeah, thank you for watching.